My name is Chris Gilbert. Today we're in the hoop house. It is October 6th and I am a little bit behind and I need to get this hoop house prepped and ready. All the beds have been tarped. I had some rows of peppers and tomatoes throughout here. I took the tarps off a couple weeks ago. I've been watering the ground to try and get it rehydrated because I hadn't watered in here for quite some time. And today I'm going to demonstrate how I'm going to prep this area and show you some of the tools I use and some of the tools that you can use to do minimum tillage. One of my most prized tools is the flame weeder. I just have the four flame model, the 4-torch model. I use a simple old duffel bag strap in order to carry the tank around. I did have a backpack that I used, but one of the straps broke on it, so I will need to get a new one. But this is very efficient in cleaning up any seeds that have accumulated on the surface of the soil or any new germinating weeds. I'm going to demonstrate for you real quick how this works. So before I do get too far into flame weeding, I will use a stirrup hoe just to lightly ruffle up the ground and get any small weeds that are established in the soil rooted up, and at least give greater exposure to those roots, because that is what the flame weeder does, is take things and basically boils them or shocks them to where they cannot recover. So I'm going to do that real quick and put this in 2 times speed. I will mention that it is not absolutely necessary to flame weed every single time that you're prepping, but I know in this case, even with the landscape fabrics that I had in the aisles and things like that, there were a lot of crabgrass growing in with the tomatoes and peppers that did get an opportunity to go to seed, so I want to make sure that I eliminate any of those before I put any greens in here, which is what this whole entire area is going to be. So that took a little while. I am winded, soaked, it's hot. You know, on a cloudy day it's only 70 degrees out, but it's probably 75, 80 in here. You're probably wondering by now, why don't you just go in with the tiller and just crush it? You know, tear up the dirt. Well, I have a microgreen area here, and that is the pathway, and there is no way that I can get my larger tiller in through that area. So this is almost a necessity, and it probably would have been a hell of a lot easier had I kept the soil thoroughly moist. It's pretty dry right now in a lot of spaces. But anyways, next we're going to put in some amendments, some compost, and then sustained turkey manure that's composted. Alright, I had to run an errand real quick, and I feel much better in a short sleeve t-shirt. A lot warmer than I thought it was going to be. So, lastly, I just run over this. I've used a different tiller earlier in the year, but I'm using this now, and I have used this in the past. It's a Manus tiller. What's nice about this is it can really get deep tillage, but it can also be used just to create a seed bed, and that's done by taking out the tines and switching them. You can reverse them, and the tines will face in a claw-like direction, and then otherwise they run and lightly are abrasive against the soil. So all I'm going to do with this is just run over the beds and mix in the compost and everything. The broad fork brings up the soil and creates a more loose environment for lightly tilling the top. I didn't put down too much compost because I'm probably going to top dress a whole lot more compost on top and lightly rake that in when I'm finished. Here we go. I know that wasn't a huge improvement. The soil is just way too dry. If you can see that there, it's just like dry. None of it even sticks. This area was a little bit better, well watered, you know. It's actually sticking to my hands a little. But there's some large clumps in here, and I'm not going to be able to make a nice seed bed at the moment. I'm going to have to wait until I get this more heavily watered. But I hope you found seeing how the tools were used to be helpful. I actually broke my landscape rake. Turn this a little bit. I snapped off a tine because there's something over here, probably an old wooden stake, something of the sort, that was stuck in the ground, and I pulled a little bit too hard, and then when I tried bending back the tine, it completely snapped off. But I've used that for 2 straight seasons, and it's been used for things it's not supposed to be used for. So it's had its time. It costs about 98 bucks. The broad fork that I use is Johnny's 727. There's 7 tines to it, 27 inches wide. That cost about $200 on Johnny's website. I would recommend that. It's not as easy to use in a small location like this. I mean, this is only 13.5 feet wide, so it's not necessarily ideal for this application, and it's not supposed to be meant for breaking new ground, which basically this is, since it's been used as pathways for over 6 months. So this ground is super tough right now. The Mantis tiller works well, but you can get any cheap tiller, and in combination with the broad fork, it works really well, especially for tight spaces like this. There's no way that I can get a large tiller in through the door here unless I made a larger door and had less shelving for my microgreen and transplant spaces. But yeah, I'll put a link in the description to all the places that you can find these tools. I hope this video was helpful. I know it probably wasn't the best example of using these tools, but it's a rainy day and this had to get done, so I thought I'd document it. If you like this video, share it, like it, subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be starting a vlog shortly here, and you can follow along with what I do then. Thanks.